I killed my sister for clout. I still have the playlist we made on my phone. It is mostly trash 2000s pop and some indie bands she found on TikTok. We used to drive around for hours in my beat-up Honda just listening to it. That was our thing. We would go to the drive-thru at Wendy's, get 2 Frosties, and just drive until the gas light came on. Katie was cool. She was not just my sister. She was the only person in the house who actually got it. Our parents were fine, I guess. They loved us. But they were old and tired. They were the kind of parents who fell asleep on the couch at 8 p.m. and worried about the lawn more than anything else. Katie and I were a team. When I snuck out to go to that bonfire sophomore year, she stuffed pillows under my duvet to make it look like I was sleeping. When she failed her math final, I intercepted the report card in the mail and we burned it in the backyard fire pit. We looked out for each other. We were stuck in the same boring suburb, going to the same boring school, dealing with the same boring people. We survived by making fun of everything. We had a running commentary on the world. If we saw someone wearing a weird hat, we would look at each other, and just know what the other was thinking. We didn't even have to say it. That is why what I did makes no sense. I look back at it now and I try to find a reason. I try to find some deep dark anger or some hidden resentment. People always want a reason. The therapists I talk to now, they always dig for some childhood trauma or some sibling rivalry. They want a story where I secretly hated her. But there is nothing. It was just a random afternoon. Katie had been talking about this guy, Alex, for months. She was obsessed. She wrote his name in her notebook. She knew his schedule. She knew what car he drove. It was honestly kind of pathetic, but in a cute way. She was 16. She had never really had a boyfriend. She had this idea of romance that she got from movies. She thought Alex was this deep, mysterious soul just because he wore a leather jacket and didn't talk much in chem lab. I knew Alex. He wasn't deep. He was a stoner kid who played COD until 4 a.m. But I didn't tell her that. I let her have the fantasy. That afternoon, we were sitting in the living room. She was talking about him again. Wondering if he noticed her new shoes. Wondering if he liked girls with curly hair. I was bored. That is the only excuse I have. I was bored and I was scrolling on my phone. I wish I could just talk to him, she said. But I don't have his number. The idea popped into my head fully formed. It wasn't malicious. It was just something to do. A way to interrupt the boredom. I think I have his number, I lied. I think he was in a group project with me last year. Her eyes went wide. Really? Do you still have it? Let me check, I said. I didn't have his number, obviously. I opened the App Store and downloaded WhatsApp. I set up a fake account using a burner number app. I set the profile picture to a grainy shot of a guitar I found on Google Images. Alex played guitar. Or at least he carried one around. I created the account. I named it Alex. Then I looked at Katie. She was staring at me, practically vibrating with hope. Yeah, I found it, I said. Give it to me, she said. No, that is weird, I said. If you text him out of the blue, he will think you are a stalker. Let me text him. I will tell him you are cool. I will tell him to text you. She looked at me like I was a superhero. You would do that? Yeah, I said. I got you. I typed a message into the WhatsApp account. I sent it to her real number. Hey. Got your number from your brother. He said you're cool. I'm Alex. My phone buzzed in my hand as I sent it. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table a second later. She picked it up. She read the screen. Then, she screamed. She literally jumped up off the couch and screamed. She hugged me. She squeezed me so hard I couldn't breathe. He texted me, she squealed. He actually texted me. I should have stopped it there. I should have said, gotcha, and laughed and taken the punch to the shoulder. It would have been a funny story. We would have laughed about it at Wendy's later. But I didn't. I just smiled. It felt good to be the one making things happen. It felt good to see her so happy, even if it was fake. That is awesome, Katie, I said. What did he say? She showed me the phone. He said you told him I was cool. Well, I said. I did. The next 24 hours were a blur of texts. I was texting her from the bathroom. I was texting her from my bed. I was texting her while sitting right next to her on the couch. It was too easy. I knew exactly what she wanted to hear. I knew she liked indie music, so Alex liked indie music. I knew she wanted someone to listen to her talk about her art class, so Alex asked tons of questions about her sketches. I was catfishing my own sister. And the sick part was, I thought I was being a good brother. I thought I was giving her a confidence boost. I told myself that when I revealed the prank, she would see that she could talk to guys. That she was interesting. By Friday afternoon, she was in deep. She was walking around with a goofy smile on her face. She was humming. He wants to meet up, she told me Friday night. She was standing in my doorway. He wants to grab a burger tomorrow. I had sent that text 5 minutes ago. That's cool, I said. Are you going to go? I don't know, she said. I'm nervous. What if I say something stupid? You won't, I said. Just be yourself. He already likes you over text, right? Yeah, she said. Yeah, he does. I set the trap. I picked the diner on Main Street. The one with the neon sign that flickered. It was public. It was safe. It was the perfect stage. I can drive you, I offered. Since Mom and Dad are going to that dinner thing. You are the best, she said. She went to her room to pick out clothes. I could hear her opening and closing drawers. I lay back on my bed and opened WhatsApp. Can't wait to see you, I typed. Me neither, she replied instantly. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. It was just so easy. Saturday came. The mood in the house was electric. Katie spent 2 hours in the bathroom. She borrowed Mom's perfume. She came into my room to show me her outfit. She was wearing this blue dress she bought with her babysitting money. It had little white flowers on it. She had curled her hair. She was wearing lip gloss. She looked older. She looked pretty. She didn't look like my annoying little sister. She looked like a young woman going on her first real date. Do I look okay? She asked. She was twisting her hands together. Is it too much? Should I change? You look great, I said. And I meant it. Alex is going to flip. I hope so, she said. She took a deep breath. Okay. Let's go. We got in the car. I plugged in the phone. I put on the playlist. She was singing along to everything. She was tapping her hand on the dashboard. She was glowing. I drove to the diner. I pulled into the lot across the street. "Go get him," I said. She unbuckled her seatbelt. She turned to me. "Thanks," she said. "Seriously. Thanks for talking me up to him." "No problem," I said. She got out. She walked across the street. She walked with her head held high. She looked confident. I watched her walk through the glass doors. I waited 5 minutes. I wanted her to get settled. I wanted the anticipation to build. Then, I pulled out my phone. I opened the camera app. I hit record. I got out of the car. I crossed the street. I was smiling. I was rehearsing what I would say. "Gotcha. Look at your face. You are so gullible." I walked into the diner. The bell above the door chimed. I saw her immediately. She was sitting in the third booth. She was facing the door. She had a menu in front of her, but she wasn't reading it. She was checking her reflection in the napkin holder. She was fixing her hair. She looked up when she heard the bell. Her face lit up when she saw me. It was pure, unfiltered joy. She thought I was there to check on her. Or maybe she thought I was there to say hi to Alex. "Did you see him?" she asked as I walked up. "Is he parking?" I didn't lower the phone. I zoomed in on her face. I wanted to catch the exact moment the realization hit. "He is not coming, Katie," I said. She blinked. "What? Is he running late? Did he text you?" I shook my head. "No. He didn't text me." I held up my phone. I switched from the camera app to WhatsApp. I showed her the messages. The blue bubbles. The grainy guitar picture. "It was me," I said. "I'm Alex." I waited for the laugh. I waited for the punchline. I waited for her to grab a French fry and throw it at me. I waited for her to say, "You ass," and roll her eyes. But she didn't. The smile didn't turn into a frown. It didn't turn into anger. It just vanished. It fell off her face like a mask slipping. She looked at the phone screen. Then she looked at me. Then she looked around the diner. There were a few other people there. An old couple in the corner. A trucker at the counter. No one was looking at us. No one cared. But she looked like she was naked on a stage. She shrank. Physically shrank. Her shoulders hunched up. She crossed her arms over that blue dress with the white flowers. She looked like a little kid who had been told Santa was dead. "Why?" she whispered. It was such a quiet question. "It was just a joke," I said. The camera was still recording. "Smile. It is just a prank." She tried to smile. She actually tried. Her mouth twitched. It was the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen. She didn't say anything else. She just slid out of the booth. She walked past me. She walked out the door. I followed her. "Katie, come on. Don't be dramatic." She got into the car. She stared out the window. I got in the driver's side. I was annoyed now. I felt like she was ruining the bit. I felt like she was being a bad sport. It was funny, I said as I started the car. You fell for it so hard. She didn't answer. She didn't put her seatbelt on. She just stared at the passing streetlights. I drove home in silence. The playlist was still playing, but she wasn't singing anymore. When we got home, I uploaded the video. I captioned it, "She actually fell for it." I tagged a few of our friends. I wanted validation. I wanted people to tell me it was funny so I didn't have to feel the weird knot forming in my stomach. Katie went straight to her room. I heard the lock click. I went to my room. I refreshed the feed. The likes were rolling in. The comments were starting. LMAO, look at her face. That is brutal. Bro, you are evil skull. I felt better. See? Everyone thought it was funny. It wasn't a big deal. I knocked on her door around 10 p.m. Come on, I said through the wood. Don't be a baby. Everyone thinks it is hilarious. She didn't answer. I woke up the next morning because the house was too quiet. Usually on Saturdays, Katie was up early. She would be in the kitchen making pancakes or blasting music while she cleaned her room. But there was nothing. No sound. I looked at my phone. The video had over 1,000 views. People I didn't even know were sharing it. I got up. I went to the bathroom. The door was locked. Katie. I knocked. Hurry up. I need to pee. Nothing. Katie, seriously. Open the door. Silence. A heavy, pressurized silence that made my ears pop. I got a penny from my dresser. I used it to turn the lock from the outside. The door swung open. Katie was on the floor. She was curled up around the toilet. She was still wearing the blue dress. There were empty blister packs everywhere. Tylenol. Advil. My dad's old prescription painkillers for his back. The box was torn open. The foil was punched out. I laughed at first. A short, sharp bark of a laugh. Okay, I said. You got me. Good one. Get up. I nudged her leg with my foot. She didn't move. She was heavy. Stiff. I knelt down. I touched her arm. It was cold. Not cool from the tile. Cold. Deep, radiating cold. Like touching a piece of frozen meat. I grabbed her shoulder. I tried to shake her. Her head didn't flop. Her neck was rigid. Her jaw was clamped shut. Her eyes were open, staring at the porcelain of the toilet bowl. They were cloudy. I don't remember screaming. But I must have, because my mom was suddenly there. Then my dad. My mom made a sound I didn't know a human could make. It wasn't a scream. It was a raw, animal howl. She fell to her knees. She tried to pull Katie up, but the rigor mortis had set in. Katie was frozen in that curled-up shape. The paramedics came. Moving her was the worst part. Because she was stiff, they couldn't just put her on the stretcher. They had to maneuver her down the narrow hallway. They had to tilt her to get her through the doorframe. It felt disrespectful. It felt like they were moving a mannequin, not a person. I stood at the top of the stairs and watched. I had killed my sister. I had killed her for likes. I had killed her because I was bored. The house died that day. My parents stopped speaking. They stopped eating. They moved through the rooms like ghosts, avoiding eye contact with me. They didn't blame me out loud. The police ruled it a suicide. A tragedy. An impulsive act by a teenager. But they knew and I knew. The video was gone. I deleted it that afternoon. But it was too late. People had seen it. People knew. The funeral was 3 days later. It was an open casket. I wished it hadn't been. By then, the stiffness had passed. She looked soft. Too soft. The mortician had used too much makeup to cover the gray. Her cheeks were too pink. Her lips were a weird, waxy orange. It didn't look like Katie. It looked like a doll that someone had melted and tried to reshape. I stood by the casket and tried to cry, but I couldn't. I just felt empty. I felt like there was a hole in my chest where my heart used to be. After the funeral, the silence took over. It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. It felt like the air in the house was made of lead. I stopped sleeping. I couldn't close my eyes without seeing her face in the diner. I missed her. I missed the car rides. I missed the playlist. I missed my teammate. I missed the only person who understood me. I started spending my nights sitting in the hallway outside her room. I couldn't go in. I couldn't look at the empty bed. So I just sat against the wall and stared at the door. That is when the sound started. It began about 3 weeks after she went into the ground. I was dozing off, my head resting on my knees. Ding! My head snapped up. It was the specific, tritone chime of a WhatsApp notification. I checked my phone. It was silent. Ding! It came from inside her room. My heart began to beat like a drum. I knew her phone was in the evidence box at the police station. I knew the room was empty. But the sound was there. Clear as day. I stood up. My legs were numb. I reached for the doorknob. I opened the door. Her room smelled like dust and that cloying floral perfume she had worn that night. The bed was made. The desk was clear. Ding! The sound wasn't coming from a device. It was coming from the corner of the room. From the shadows between the wardrobe and the wall. Katie. I whispered. The shadow moved. It didn't look like a ghost. It didn't look like her. It looked like a smudge on a camera lens. A blur of darkness in the shape of a person. It was taller than she was. Darker than the dark around it. It didn't speak. It just waited. I should have run. I should have woken my parents. But I was so tired. I was so full of this rotting, black guilt that I just wanted something to happen. I wanted to be punished. Are you there? I asked. The shadow didn't answer. But a thought appeared in my head. It wasn't my voice. It sounded flat. Hollow. Like wind blowing through a pipe. Undo, it whispered. Undo. The word echoed in my skull. It wasn't audible. It was bouncing through my own mind, a thought that was not my own. I fell to my knees on her carpet. I want to, I sobbed. I want to undo it. I just want things back to normal. The shadow seemed to expand. It filled the room with a cold that burned my skin. It wasn't the cold of the air conditioning. It was the same cold I had felt when I touched her arm on the bathroom floor. Normal, the hollow voice said. We can do normal. Open the door. How? I asked. Tell me how. The door is already open, the voice droned. You opened it when you called for her. You just have to invite her back in. I wiped my face. I looked at the shadow. It didn't have eyes, but I could feel it watching me. It felt like something. I can't even explain what it felt like. But I didn't care. What do I do? Tonight, the voice said. Unlock the back door. Call her name. Want it? Is it that easy? I asked. You have to want it more than you want to be safe, the voice said. I nodded. I did. I wanted it more than anything. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. I watched my parents sit at the dinner table and push peas around their plates. They looked gray. They looked like they were waiting to die. If I brought her back, I could fix this. I could fix them. Night fell. The house went dark. I waited until I heard my parents' bedroom door close. Then I went downstairs. I unlocked the back door. I turned off the porch light. I sat on the kitchen floor and waited. Wyatt, our golden retriever, came into the kitchen. He was a good dog. Dumb as a bag of rocks, but loyal. He trotted over to me, his tail wagging. But then, he stopped. He looked at the back door. His ears went back. His tail tucked between his legs. He started to whine. A high, pitiful sound. It is okay, Wyatt, I whispered. She is coming home. Wyatt didn't look at me. He backed away. He kept backing up until he hit the cabinets, then he bolted into the living room. I heard his claws scrambling on the hardwood. I sat alone in the dark. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Knock. 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 It wasn't a hand. It sounded hard. Like bone hitting wood. I scrambled up. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the handle. I threw the door open. The backyard was pitch black. It was raining. A cold, steady drizzle. Katie was standing on the patio. She looked small. She was wearing a thick gray hoodie I recognized. It was my old one. She had the hood pulled up tight. She had a wool scarf wrapped around the lower half of her face. She was wearing gloves. She was shivering. Violent, jerking shivers that rattled her whole body. Katie? I whispered. She didn't look up immediately. She just stood there, vibrating in the rain. Then, she stepped inside. She moved stiffly. Like she was so cold her joints had locked up. She looked like a little girl who had been out in the storm for too long. Katie, it is me, I said. I reached out to hug her. She felt solid. She felt real. But she was freezing. It was like hugging a snowman wrapped in cotton. She didn't hug me back. She just stood there, her arms pinned to her sides. You are freezing, I said. I pulled back to look at her. The hood shadowed her eyes. The scarf covered her mouth and nose. All I could see was the bridge of her nose. The skin looked pale, but it was dark in the kitchen. It is okay, I said, crying now. You are home. I fixed it. I fixed it. She nodded. I led her to the living room. She walked with a weird limp, dragging her left leg a little, but I told myself it was just the cold. She sat on the couch, staring straight ahead. I missed you so much, I said. I sat on the coffee table in front of her. Mom and Dad are going to be so happy. She didn't answer. The house smelled funny. Like wet dirt and something sweet, like old fruit. I figured it was just the mud on her clothes. Say something, I pleaded. Please. She made a sound. It was muffled by the scarf. It sounded like a dry wheeze. Hungry, she whispered. My heart broke. She sounded so weak. Hungry? Okay. I will get you something. I will make you whatever you want. I ran to the kitchen. I was manic with relief. She was here. She was talking. It worked. I pulled out ham, cheese, bread. I started making a sandwich. I was humming. I was actually humming. Then I realized something. It was quiet. Wyatt usually came running when he heard the cheese wrapper. He was obsessed with cheese. Wyatt? I called out. Come here, boy. Nothing. I finished the sandwich. I put it on a plate. Wyatt. I whistled. Silence. A cold feeling started in my stomach. Not the good cold of relief. The bad cold of fear. I walked into the hallway. Wyatt. The door to the basement was cracked open. Wyatt wasn't allowed in the basement. I walked over. I pushed the door open. Wyatt, get out of there. I turned on the light. At the bottom of the stairs, there was a heap of golden fur. It wasn't moving. I walked down the stairs. My legs felt heavy. Wyatt. I got to the bottom step. It was Wyatt. But something wasn't right. He was torn open. His stomach was gone. His ribs were cracked open like a wishbone. There was blood everywhere. It was pooled on the concrete. It wasn't an accident. Something had done this. Something strong. I heard a creak on the stairs behind me. I spun around. Katie was standing at the top of the stairs. The hood was down. The scarf was gone. Her face was gray. Her jaw was hanging loose, unhinged on one side. Her mouth was stained red. With blood. She was holding the sandwich I made her. She crushed it in her gloved hand and let it drop to the floor. Still hungry, she rasped. I backed up until I hit the washing machine. Katie. I choked out. She walked down the stairs. She didn't walk like a person anymore. She moved like a spider, her limbs jerking and snapping into place. She stopped at the bottom. She looked at the dead dog. Then she looked at me. Her eyes were milky white and sunken in. You did this? I whispered. She tilted her head. Her neck cracked. Empty, she said. Her voice was wet now. So empty. What are you? I screamed. Your sister, she said. But the way she said it was wrong. It was like she was mimicking a recording. You wanted me back. Not like this, I said. I didn't want this. She took a step towards me. You owe me, she hissed. It wasn't a threat. It was a plea. She looked at me, and for a second, the milky film over her eyes seemed to thin. I saw brown underneath. I saw panic. It hurts, she whined. She sounded like a little kid. It hurts so much. I am so hungry. I am so angry. How? I asked, trembling. What do you need? The shadow peeled itself off the basement wall. It stood next to her, tall and jagged. She needs the source, the voice droned. She is running on fumes. She needs the fuel that burned her out. Me? I asked. Katie nodded. She reached out a hand. The glove had fallen off. Her fingers were gray and withered. Please, she whispered. Let me eat. Then I will be whole. Then I will be Katie again. I looked at her. I looked at the dog. If you eat me, I said, you will kill me. Yes, she said. Exchange. A life for a life. You took mine. Give it back. She stepped closer. I could smell death on her breath. I can't be like this, she cried. It is cold. It is dark. Please, brother. Help me. She was using my guilt. She was reaching right into my chest and squeezing my heart. She knew exactly what to say. If I let you, I said. Will you remember? She paused. She licked the blood off her lip. Yes. I looked at her. Really looked at her. If I let her eat me, I wasn't saving her. I was cursing her. I was forcing her to live with the memory of tearing her brother apart. I was turning her into a monster forever just so I didn't have to feel bad anymore. No, I said. Her face twisted. The sadness vanished. The hunger snapped back into place. Give it to me, she shrieked. She lunged. She hit me hard. We fell onto the concrete floor. She was strong. Unnaturally strong. Her hands pinned my shoulders. Her jaw unhinged even further. Her mouth was a cavern of red teeth. She snapped at my face. I turned my head. Her teeth clicked inches from my ear. Katie, stop. I yelled. Look at me. She drew back to strike again. I am sorry. I screamed. I am sorry I wasn't a better brother. She froze. She hovered over me, dripping saliva onto my shirt. She looked down at me. The hunger flickered. The brown eyes came back. She looked at where her hands were pinning me down. She looked at the dead dog in the corner. She realized what she was. She rolled off me. She scrambled into the corner, away from me. She curled into a ball, hiding her face. Make it stop, she sobbed. Please. Make it stop. The shadow hissed. Do not listen to her. Feed her. No, I said. I stood up. I looked around. My dad's old tool bench was next to the dryer. I grabbed a long screwdriver. It was rusty, but the tip was sharp. I walked over to Katie. She looked up. She saw the screwdriver. She didn't run. She didn't fight. She uncurled her legs. She opened her arms. She exposed her chest. Do it, she wheezed. I fell to my knees in front of her. The smell of rotten dog blood was overwhelming. I love you, I said. I tried. I really tried. I whimpered out with tears rolling down my cheeks. I know, she whispered. Her voice was clear. No rasp. No hunger. Just Katie. It is okay. I put the tip of the screwdriver against her chest. I pushed. It was hard. Her skin was like leather. I had to use both hands. I had to put my weight into it. She gasped. Her back arched. Her hands grabbed my arms, but she didn't push me away. She pulled me closer. "Thank you," she breathed. Then, she went heavy. The tension left her body. She slumped against me. The shadow screamed. It was a sound like a siren dying. Then the basement light flickered, and the room was empty. I sat there on the cold concrete, holding my sister's body, waiting for the sirens. That was 3 years ago. I spent 2 of those years in a state facility. The doctors called it a psychotic break. They said I dug her up to say goodbye. They said I killed Wyatt because I couldn't tell the difference between life and death anymore. I let them believe it. I took the pills. I nodded when they talked about processing grief. It was easier than trying to explain the shadow man in the basement. I've been out for a year now. I live in a different state. I have a job stocking shelves at a grocery store on the night shift. It's quiet. I like the quiet. My parents don't talk to me. I don't blame them. To them, I'm just the monster who dug up their daughter. I'm writing this because I need to ask a question. I need to know if I'm the only one. That shadow. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a ghost. It wasn't Katie. It was just something bad. It didn't leave because I won. I didn't win anything. It left because the show was over. It got what it wanted. It wanted to see how far I would go. But where did it go? I look at people now. I see the tired lady buying frozen dinners at 3 a.m. I see the guy sitting in his car in the parking lot, just staring at the steering wheel. Everyone has something they regret. Everyone has a moment they want to undo. I wonder if it's watching them too. I wonder if it's standing in the corner of your room right now, waiting for you to get desperate enough to open the door. If you are reading this, and you have a heavy heart, if you hear a voice that sounds like your own thoughts offering you a way to fix things, don't listen. Just live with the guilt. It sucks, and it's heavy, but at least it's yours. At least it doesn't eat you.